what we were trying to do with the project is to break down some of the walls of communication that we have in the society, probably in general, but specifically in Berlin. And the concept itself, spontaneous concept, along with using the concept I got from Butch Morris, who's a great composer. He developed a concept called conduction. And conduction, while it's very easy to have some kind of meaningful dialogue between two musicians, three musicians, maybe even four, actually, my opinion is after three, it gets really hard to have a meaningful conversation, a cohesive conversation, because the lines of communication are very mixed up at that point. And he developed a concept where he could create signals and signs that gave the artists both a certain kind of freedom with how they would interpret the signs, but also create an organization, so you could create this cohesive ideas and develop these cohesive ideas spontaneously. So I just thought it was the perfect concept to adopt for the Spontaneous Arkestra. Did you understand the command?
Yes.
That means repeat. So now when I do that, you mean the idea is going to come. It's not like repeat number two. It's like, okay, you repeat. He's going to tell me what to repeat. And I'll say two. Normally I'll try to do it with two hands on that command. Repeat the melody that you're on. So I might say two, repeat two times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Melody two, repeat two times.
And so one of the main things of the concept being successful is that musicians have to be able to make a statement, make a musical statement that's clear and that can be replicated, that can be repeated, and also a musical statement that your partner can also play. So if you have a violin player who plays a certain way and his instrument is organized a certain way, he has to think that, okay, this harmonica player is also going to have to play this line, where the harmonica is organized totally different. There's certain things that the harmonica can play that the violin can't play. There's certain things that the violin can play that the harmonica cannot play. So this breeds or it stimulates a kind of personal responsibility, and that's something that we really stress, and it's not only a personal responsibility to your own statement, but a personal responsibility to the group. How is the group going to take my idea? Can they handle my idea? Is it going to be too specific to my instrument, or is it something that's going to be able to be communicated by a voice, a piano, and all the other instruments? Another thing that the project just is embedded in this kind of sharing is the cross-cultural aspect. The fact that people can share ideas across cultural lines. If I give you an idea from my own personal cultural background, if it's cohesive enough for you to play it, you will step into a piece of my background, you know? And this can also all happen spontaneously. So it breaks down some of those walls of communication. There were certain artists musicians on the show who expressed that they had never played with people from so diverse backgrounds. But we tend to look at it as, you know, it's just a human thing. You know, everybody comes with different colors. You come with different spices. You put it in the food, and somebody says it tastes great. Well, music is no different. It's just you have to be involved in the right form where that takes place. His position is that he's got to see me at all times, so he has to be that way. Somehow, if you can't look up and play at the same time.
Then the speaker will be right here.
But what you gonna do? You wanna stay in isolation? No. That's not gonna work. If she's coming over, 1, 2, 3. The last thing that is very important, and that I thought was, I saw develop right during the process, was the fact that people started to take more responsibility for each other. So it wasn't this idea of like, I know this and he knows that, but I don't know what he knows, and all these things that create a kind of cynicism, mistrust, insecurity with the ego and everything. Once you can get musicians on the track, or anyone on the track, where they know that, you know, we are out to sea and everybody has to take, you know, do a job to make the boat float, you know. As soon as you guys get comfortable, the shit starts sounding like Hilda's doing. And so once you see everyone turn over or give themselves to that energy, you see a kind of transformation, you know, you see a kind of transformation. And I believe one of the great things in Berlin is that we have it's such a diverse society, but at the same time, as diverse as it is, I do not see the melding of cultures as much as one would think, you know. And Spontanous is just one of many formats one can use to meld these cultures into something that is particularly a Berlin experience. So yeah, a lot of times I will throw them something that's in their comfort zone, but then I was always trying to a little bit keep them in an unknown space, which is not to say that that's an uncomfortable zone. It should not be. The exercise is to get in that uncomfortable zone and make something beautiful out of it. And once you realize that your human instrument, your human machine can do that, you start to create trust. And people that they call jazz musicians from my culture are always, and we're always involved in that, always involved pushing the borders of communication, always involved with spontaneous improvisation. Because from the culture that was born, the African American culture, the moment was supreme, because oftentimes that's all you had was a specific time when you could meet and celebrate what you were doing. Okay, Berlin is a very unique town in Germany. It's probably a unique town in all of Europe. It has the possibility to create spaces of exchange and creativity that you don't see, in some other big towns. You do see them, of course. London is well known for that, but Berlin is probably not becoming very well known for that. In terms of the music itself, I think Berlin is in very much need to harness the creativity of its young people. There's a lot of youth out here who are very involved in trying to make it in the system, and a lot of times the system is not able to harness their creativity because it's not really something that is valid within the system.
Was macht mich dann so verdammt interessant? Ich hab Flow, ich hab Beats, ich hab Rap schon erkannt. Als ich noch am Anfang stand, als ich noch nicht ich war, gab mir Hip-Hop Verstand. Ich bin wie ein Kopfstand, verkehrt an meinen anzusehen. Da denkt man sich, wie soll man das verstehen? Denn man versteht es nicht, doch der Kopf denkt trotzdem wie im Kopfraum entstanden. Und im Cockpit aufstehen, nicht draufgehen, Boxensystem aufbringen.
And I think the autodidact concept is a concept that can only grow bigger because there's so many people who have talent and have something to say. They only need a format that embraces the fact that they haven't learned music within a standardized Western, form and things like that. That doesn't make their talent any less valid, So one has to feel it and hear it in one's soul, and one has to create in a format where something says, whatever you feel in your soul is valid, That doesn't mean it can't be developed, But I think Berlin is in a very, very, I would even say crisis state of needing something that can harness the young people's talent and establish a level of excellence. Spontaneous is one level. I don't like to use the word experiment because everything is experiment. When you go on stage, you don't actually know what's going to happen. But it is coming from, let's say, the jazz impulse. If there's something that I could call the jazz impulse, and that is how to economize your ideas, how to use theme and variation in a spontaneous way, how to respond to, a call, somebody calls something and you respond to it in a compelling way, that means listening, we haven't trained enough on that, but that I know was a new thing for many of the musicians, is to understand how to listen, that listening is just as important as playing, It's okay not to play. It's totally okay.
Okay.
Play silence. We say play the silence.
Okay.
Yeah, because the mystique in music is not in playing, it's in the silence. It's how do you organize the silence? It's like a drama. If a guy comes in and he says something really loud, boom, and then quiet. It's like, the body just reacts to that. But if you just, and you keep going, it's like, it's almost as if you don't even play anything. It's just too much.
But at least I understand just.
And what does that mean? That somebody now can hear you. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And I'm going to give you something back that's related in some way to what you said. So you're going to know I heard you, because it's going to have a seed of the idea you just gave me. And then that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That exercise is very important. Nice. All right. So it's gonna get better, You got 2 chances for it to get better. Here we go. 1 time through. Use your own dynamic power. Okay.
Vai na dentro, Vitória, tá? Vai se
A lot of times that means bringing people together who basically have nothing to, maybe thinking that they have nothing to do with each other, We had some people in the band this time who were not at all professional musicians, but they had a story to tell, or they had a conviction, something that we're into, something that a lot of people who play music don't have outside of just playing the instrument they're playing. And as we well know, music means nothing until you infuse it with meaning. It's the meaning, the music itself. To play an instrument, it can just mean I can play this well, or I'm good, or I'm bad. Okay. And what does that say to the community? Maybe it brings some pride to some corners of the community, but a deeper message is to trigger thoughts and ideas back onto the community, to where a young girl or a young man can go back and say, from what he played, I can imagine myself writing this book about something. Or where somebody says, I was looking for an idea for this design I was doing, and after I heard that music, I got it now, All the arts feed each other. And so I think these separations and these walls that we presently have, so in my opinion, so deeply in Berlin, we must start to try to break them down and try to make the whole process a little bit more, a lot more inclusive. I think spontaneous is one method that I would like to see open up those channels to people, and that's why we call the first concert "Come As You Are," because whatever you got, we can send it through the machine, and if you're open, we can turn it into some kind of meaningful expression. Right. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I said everything I need to say at this point.